Nigerian Youth Futures Fund, NYFF. Better government on radio. Build the Nigeria we want.
Hello and good afternoon. After a hiatus, we are back on Better Government Radio Talk Show, the citizen conversation platform where governance meet the people, and we amplify young voices to help shape the future of our society, because we believe that government can truly work for everyone. Today's conversation comes at a very important time in the life of Ekiti State, especially as conversations and political activities ahead of the June 2026 governorship election gradually begins to take shape. Across Nigeria today, young people are speaking up more than ever before, from social media conversations to community advocacy, policy debate, civic campaigns, and election discussions. Well, youth might be increasingly becoming visible voices in governance and democratic participation. But beyond these noise, beyond trends and hashtags, one important question remains: are young people truly involved in promoting transparency and accountability in governance? What does transparency really mean to the average citizen? Should government decisions, spending, and development plans be more open and accessible to the people? And what role do young people have in ensuring leaders remain accountable before and after elections? Interestingly, governance is not only about politicians or public office holders. Government affects our everyday life. Education, healthcare, roads, jobs, electricity, security, opportunities, and even the future young people hope to build for themselves and generations to come. This is why the role of youths in demanding responsible leadership, participating constructively, asking informed questions, and contributing meaningfully to development can no longer be ignored. On today's edition of Better Government Radio Talk Show, we are exploring the role of youths in promoting transparency and accountability in governance. And together, we will examine whether youths are truly connected to governance, the power and limitation of social media activism, lessons from developed democratic societies, the responsibilities young people carry as citizens, and how Ekiti youths can become active stakeholders in shaping a more transparent, accountable, and people-centered government ahead of 2026 election in Ekiti State. My guest today is a distinguished young professional and, of course, a Chevening alumnus whose international exposure and experience provide valuable insight into youth participation, democratic culture, and civic engagement globally and locally. Better Government Radio Talk Show is brought to you by Inspiration Care and Development Center with support from the Nigeria Youth Futures Fund as part of ongoing efforts to promote active citizenship, youth inclusion, democratic participation, and accountable governance. My name is Oluwasegun Adeleke, and I'm your host today. After a hiatus, we are back on the program. For a couple of months, we have been speaking actively on how young people can really be the voices that bring about change in Nigeria. And today on the show, we are proud to be back again with support from Nigeria Youth Futures Fund Inspiration Care and Development Agency is an agency, a non-governmental agency that believes government can truly work for everyone. By promoting accountability, transparency, we bring forward reports on different development activities of government and also engage the citizenship to demand rightful implementation of plans, promises, and projects of government. My guest once again this morning is a Chevening alumnus, Tunde Dada Blessing, is an education development practitioner, social innovator, and youth advocate working at the intersection of governance, digital inclusion, and community development. He is the founder of Slum and Rural Aid for African Child Development Initiative, Sarafati, and co-founder of Genex TED, where he leads initiative that expand access to education, digital skills, and livelihood opportunities for underserved communities across Nigeria. Quite a lot of programs that he's been involved in, but we just bring a tiny fraction of that to the program this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Blessing, on Better Government Radio Talk Show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege to be here and to talk about the importance of civic governance and transparency, the accountability, and a lot today, which we'll be sharing. Thank you for having me.
All right. Once again, it's good to have you join the show. Let me start with this tiny, interesting one. A lot of persons believe that an opportunity to jackpot is a lifetime one and should not be missed. What's the inspiration behind you really coming back to Nigeria and to your roots here in Ekiti after you won the prestigious Chevening Scholarship?
I think I've really answered this question so many times.
Okay.
It's because many people have asked me that, you left UK and you come back to Nigeria. Why? Every day I got that question. It's very simple for me. Yeah, it is. I believe I was brought up in Ekiti State, especially I'm a person from Ilawe Ekiti. And what actually took me to the UK is to seek knowledge. I didn't go to UK because I want to stay or I want to live in the UK. I just go there to understand some of the important things that we need to implement in Nigeria. So the solution I'm providing is not in the UK. Most of the solution that we are working towards on are in Nigeria, to be done in Nigeria. And that was the reason why I left UK and come back to Nigeria. Because those solutions are meant to be implemented here in Nigeria, especially in Ekiti State.
Interestingly, I'm working on a project that talks about local solutions for local people. But a lot of persons just believe that whatever innovation and idea that you have, you must share with the more developed community and society. What's your take on that?
I know that's not true.
Okay.
When you even go to global platforms, when you have local solution, it's more even relevant than people having a general solutions. Because your solution is more specific and it's targeting a specific group, which make it unique. Because talking on a global platform now, you mentioned about solutions that targeted some people that they have in fact, nobody is looking at them. They are not included in the conversation of creating solutions for them. So when you bring solutions to that kind of people, the global space, they want to encourage, they want to see how you can develop that, because there are so many people that are going through some of these things that have been excluded from the system. So when you bring that solutions to them, it's kind of unique, and they want to like go into it and ensure that the solution gets to the people that you mentioned.
All right. You are a developer, innovator in the space of education, right?
Yes.
Providing digital innovations, inclusion for young persons across Nigerian communities, Ekiti, which is your root and that you have been doing. And it is also believed that a lot of young persons are in these spaces. But beyond having an innovation for yourself, how can you describe the involvement of youths in governance, even here in Nigeria? Innovations for government and governance, or is there an approach that youths can innovate to be included or to bring about youth inclusion in governance, and are we really doing it?
When it comes to youth in governance in Nigeria generally, I think the youth, we are not going through the structure. It's just like getting involved, like when it's come to the election time only, we are not really included in the systems. So one thing I know about when it's come to like building a structure for ourselves, especially in Nigeria, making you to get involved, and because we don't have good structure, that's why you see people like Minister of Youth, Commissioner for Youth, they are above 60. Are they youth? Are they really youth? It's because there is no system on ground that ensure that people that are on these positions are going to be youth majorly. And when it's come to like innovations and all of that, how are youth participating in all these things? Let me just be sincere with you. Before I even know about anything about fiscal transparency, accountability, I think I've even left university in my undergraduate. So I had no information about people, how they can track what the government is doing. And those are the things we need to sensitize our youth about. They need to understand that these things, everything that is happening in your community, you can actually track them. You can actually, you know, engage in all these conversations. It's not like walking up to the commissioner or to the governor without understanding what you need to say, what you need to demand, that accountability that you need to talk about. So you need to understand that better. And those are the way we need to learn. So we need to seek more knowledge to be able to understand in order to get involved in that conversation.
Okay, I love the fact that it's getting really practical right now. There is a course or a subject in secondary school that is called civic education. While I was in secondary school, there was no when we weren't doing civic, we were doing social studies. I think we are about in the same generation. You understand? We're doing social studies. Social studies is the study of man and his the study of culture, study of man, his immediate environment and relationship between the people, right? But the kind of social studies that we did not even teach us how we must be really involved in our communities. And I think that is what you're trying to speak about. So are you also saying that there must be a restructuring in the way educational programs and planned that relates to youth participation, the participation of young people, the way it's being delivered? Are you saying there should be a different approach to that? Or compared to your stay in the UK, right? You've interacted with a little bit of the United Kingdom system, and as a Chevening scholar, do you think young people in Ekiti State are truly connected to governance compared to what you've observed based on educational systems and structures?
Yes, I would say in Nigeria, I would say we are engaged partially. But when it's come to the UK, I think it's kind of different because there is this structure on ground from student union, and you can't just be on a student union without getting engaged. Now, I remember when I studied in Sussex, I was one of the union council member of the university, which is the hierarchy for the university when it comes to the decision-making platform. So, and when we make decision, everything is visible and usable. That is different when you're part of the decision-making and is not usable. So here in Nigeria, I think that is one of the gaps that we need to talk about. Even if you are part of this decision making, is it usable? Are the government using it? Let's look at our student union, for example. Will decision as the student union make in Nigeria that is really, really usable when we look at it practically? So, but in the UK, the difference is just clear. There is always a youth forum whereby they bring stakeholders. There is youth consultation forum. There is student union where real changes happen. You talk about changes and you see it. That is just the difference. So in Nigeria, I think we need to have a system that allow the students, the youth especially, to be able to get involved in the decision making. So I'll give you another example. Being part of SDG4 Youth and Student Network now, currently we're working on global survey to ensure that people, especially youth from rural community, are part of Education 2030 decision making. And we are currently putting the consultations, the surveys, the questionnaires, everything together. We are the one making the decision, the youths. So these things, whenever we put those things together, me personally, I'm representing the global youth in the world. I'm going to be speaking for them on a global platform. These things get there and it's very usable. They make decision based on what you said. That is when youth is currently part of the system. It's not when we just get involved when there is only election period, everybody just do election and we go back home. But when we have structures on grant that allow us to participate, it gives us that visibility And every decision that we make, it ensure that we are able to track it to the top. And that is just the difference.
I'd like you to now put in practical terms the structures that you're talking about. What are these structures?
Okay, it's very simple. We have student union in Nigeria. Are the student union part of the decision making in Ekiti State? I'll say no. Are they really part of the decision making? Will they say something and it will be so? Like the maybe the governor, the everything, we put them on table and we talk, and whatever the decision they are asking for the governor or for any
For student community, for the
yeah
youth
for
community.
student community, are they really being like getting involved, like ensure that those things are done? That's number one. And when it's come to the UK, it's different. I'm part of policy decision making, and whenever we talk about things we don't want to see in school, the management immediately is implementing it. That's just the difference. They just ensure that these things that you are saying, what is the negative effect of this thing in the next 5 years, and they look at it critically, and we have a discussion, and they realize that this thing are not going to cause any problem. Then they get it involved. There's a times in the UK where we need to change one particular food that is causing a lot. Maybe some people do not really like it, and we discuss about these things that we want to change it, and also ensuring bringing dog to school and all of that. We discuss about these things on the high table, and it was scrapped. So those are the ways things happen. You make decision, and immediately the thing has happened. They look at it critically, and they ensure it's part of the system. So in Nigeria, I don't really see how that will really happen. Before, for you to make changes in Nigeria, is like you have to protest, you have to youth. Another aspect is that when we have a youth forum now, what are we discussing? Are we discussing issues? Like, let's talk about issues, let's talk about solutions to these issues. And when we're speaking about all these things, are we recommending, are we bringing recommendations, are we bringing different policies that can change the narratives? So those are the way we get involved. And in Europe, it's different. When you talk about all this youth policy, we talk about issues in education, we talk about issues in health, you talk about issues in climate, education, and everything. And before you know it, those things are being recommended in the high level positions.
Interesting. So you're saying that the difference, or one of the difference in these climes, the Nigerian climb and the European climb, UK in particular, is the fact that we do not just have youth communities or youth societies, but we have youth societies that have plans, and these plans are geared towards having inclusive conversations. And out of these conversations, there are recommendations that become working policies or working structures.
Exactly.
For example, in Ekiti State, we have the Nigeria Youth Parliament, the Nigeria, the NYCN. We have different youth organizations. In fact, we have the Ekiti State Youth Parliament, right? So we're talking about going beyond those organizations and making policies that are attainable, that can become structures and working for the future. Thank you very much for that, a very interesting introduction to the show. But we're going to move beyond that to look at certain indicators that show that young people are probably genuinely interested or involved in governance beyond social media conversations and election periods. I remembered mentioning the issue of the protests when the new electoral law was passed, and youths were out there saying, we want electronic transmission of results. But something you mentioned in your introduction has to do with information. Let's look at some of these clear indicators that show that young people are truly interested, or maybe not even interested, in governance in Ekiti State and in Nigeria generally. Blessing.
Thank you. I think the difference is just that when everybody comes together to make a decision, what we want to see is that those decisions get to the top. But when those decisions are just being abandoned under the carpet, we just feel like, is this thing really working? So it still boils down to the structure. Because if you have a good structure that people understand that whatever they say is going to be usable, people will want to like get involved. And the number two is what our level of engagement when it comes to being consistent in what we are doing. Are we really consistent? Are we really all just going to be available when it is close to the election? Or we can start demanding accountability at the beginning of every tenure, like, oh, what is happening in this government? Are we really involved, or we're just getting involved because we need somebody to give us one or two things, or we're just going to social media and just criticize the government, and before you know it, they paid you off, you are not saying anything anymore. So what's the level of consistency are you putting in? It's just different. Dear, nobody is forcing you to come to the government. You just want to be part of it because you want to make changes. It's different when they say they want to give you essay and collect money, and before you know it, you are now saying, shouting the person. You forget why you are even into the system. So it's different. So the kind of mindset that we have is still, I'll still say, it's still boiled down to the structure of what we have on grants. If you have a solid structure that ensure that people's voice are being heard at the top, people will want to get involved because they know their voice is going to make the changes. Now, I'm not saying youth voice does not make any changes. It does. But it is when we now come together that these changes do happen most of the times, and it shouldn't be so. So, and when we also gather together, we also need to talk about issues, not just talking about how we are going to make election happen, or it's always about voting. It's more than just voting. It's more than about talking about critical issues that are happening in your immediate environment, bringing people together, explaining what is happening from their local consistencies and all of that. And that is how we create a solid forum to be able to understand each problem that is happening. So it's kind of different when you just come together, talk about voting, and after the election, everybody go back to their house. There is no consistency. That's just it.
Wow, what a gap that is being revealed right there. The consistency and demanding for issues to be resolved, and not just demanding for names of people.
Exactly. We are not just coming there to ask for who is voting. We are coming there to talk about issues in education, issues in health, climate issues. Those are the things we want to be talking about, and that is what gets people involved. When you realize that people are talking about this issue, you want to get involved. You are not just coming there because it's election period, we are here. You know, that's
because somebody is from your community, constituency.
So that's it. It's a continuous thing. We ask questions from the community. What is the problem? Then you know that you have a platform. You are going to speak about these things when you have the chance. So it's just different.
All right. Thank you very much again, Blessing. But let us also move on to issues of transparency in governance. I think this one is a very, very, very important one too. Transparency in governance. How people are aware, how people are carried along, right? At what stage should they be carried along? But then when we talk about transparency in our own climb, what practical example did you observe in the UK that you think young people and leaders in the state can learn from?
I think I've mentioned it. Transparency is more visible in Europe. Why? Because you have access. There is this level of accessibility to information. So, and those information that are not even easily to access, you can demand for them. You can request. There is freedom of information request in the UK. So whenever you heard about something and you want to ask about this information and you don't get it, you have a place where you can request for that information and it's going to be provided for you. So it's different from in Nigeria where we only spend limited amounts. How much do we spend? How much budget do we spend on accountability, transparency, data, privacy, and all of that? We don't do that in Nigeria. But there, they spend money on data. They invest money on data so that it's going to be available for people. But yeah, we don't invest money on data, on making any data. So transparency is very rare in Nigeria because we don't have data.
Access to
data. Even the access, even the data itself is not really.
Let me ask you this, Blessing. Yeah. Beyond asking, what's the posture of government to even making this information available to people without the asking, over there and here?
Yeah, I think it's important to even, if you want to clean your hands, you want to ensure that everything is available to everybody. And the difference is just that I think nobody is going to question. There is limited people criticizing or critique whatever you are doing to even ask questions that they want to know the facts. But all the information are online, and whatever you want to critique, you can critique. And there is access to the government. I think There was a time I was part of the one campaign UK as an ambassador, and what we want to actually do is demand transparency, accountability, and we go through advocacy in terms of education, health, and poverty eradication. So what we do basically is not just go to the streets. We demand accountability from every government, and that is when I understand that having access is different from access in some country. You write directly to the ministers in your local communities, somebody who is heading the community, and he responds to you immediately through emails. Before you know, you already arrange a meeting and you are meeting in person, talking about issues that you observe and all of that. And before you know, whatever you say is going to put together and raise the issue that the parliament, when it got to the parliament. It's different here. You easily talk to our leaders and you see them talking about these things in the high-ranking position. So they just feel like maybe you want to demand something from them, maybe what you are going to eat is what you want. So there is limited care about all this.
You know, this issue you talked about now.
Yeah.
Disposition of youth. We talked about the posture of government now, making information available and all, over there and here.
Yeah.
Let's look at the posture of youth. Why do you think a lot of youth in Nigeria are making noises? Is it not because they are looking for something here and there? What's your take on that? For example, you see, I saw a post on Facebook a couple of days ago. Somebody went around a particular community in Ekiti State. I was giving his recommendation, even though I had my own reservation about his manner of delivery of that particular stuff. Some sources have it that the person has been arrested for, spreading some false information. Then I saw some other posts that came against this guy. But what I saw is people tackling people for people and not tackling issues for people.
I think sometimes controversial do come from the fact that there is no available data to back whatever you say. If you have data, then we speak from facts. So there will not be an argument. And most of the time, misinformation do spread online because people do not even go online to even check the real facts to understand what is the issue. People don't do research like before. It's whatever we just throw online and everybody just follow. And I feel like people also need to, come back and look for facts before you just throw something on social media spaces just to create controversies on social media. Yeah.
Thank you very much. You're listening to Better Government Radio Talk Show this afternoon, and it's brought to you from the Stables of Inspiration Care and Development Center with support from Nigeria Youth Futures Fund. This afternoon, we are looking at the role of youth, particularly in demanding for accountability, transparency, how youth can be agents, of promotion of transparency and accountability in governance. Our guest this afternoon is a youth development advocate and also a Chevening alumnus, someone whose innovation is being utilized right here in Ekiti State, Blessing Dada. And we've been having a very, very interesting session for about 30 minutes thereabout. But we'll continue this afternoon after this very quick break. We are live on Facebook at Midas Radio 905. Please join us, drop your comment. And we'd like to also have your contributions in the comment section. We're going to be giving out recharge credit this afternoon to persons who engage, who make their comments constructively. How do you think youths can be true agents of transparency and accountability in government, in governance? What have you observed? What are the changes? What are your own recommendations? Which is very, very, very important. We're talking about recommendations for policies and frameworks that can, become structures for youths to become true agents of accountability and transparency in governance. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break.
The Inspiration Care and Development Center presents Better Government on Radio. Do you desire a show that encourages respectful dialogue? Want to be part of creating positive change? Welcome to Better Government on Radio, the show where we explore ways to improve a community and make government work better for everyone. Join us as we consider innovative solutions and discuss fresh ideas. Our goal is to improve, inform, and empower you to be an active participant in shaping a better future for all. No politics, no blames, just constructive conversations and collective problem solving. Join the movement. Tune into Better Government on Radio on Midas Radio 90.5 FM every Wednesday from 2 to 3 in the afternoon and be part of building a brighter tomorrow. This program is brought to you by Inspiration Care and Development Center, ICDC, with support from Nigerian Youth Futures Fund, NYFF. Better Government on Radio. Build the Nigeria we want.
All right, you're welcome back on Better Government Radio Talk Show this afternoon, coming to you from Midas Radio 90.5 FM. Aduegete. This program is brought to you by Inspiration Care and Development Center with support from Nigeria Youth Futures Fund. This afternoon, we are looking at the role of youth in promoting transparency and accountability in governance. You can share your thoughts with us on Facebook at Midas Radio 905. You can call in to also be a part of the show on 0915 090 5905, 0915 090 5905, or 0704 100 1905. You can also share your thoughts with us right there. But we're talking about the issues of accessibility, of access to information, access to data. Let's domesticate this issue in Ekiti State. Do you think government in Nigeria, even at the state level, provide enough accessible information for youths to properly engage with policies, budgets, and development plans? Blessing, over to you.
I would say not sufficient, not really sufficient, because most of the information set they will provide is you have to be intellectual to be able to understand what you are reading at times. So I didn't really simplify the little ones that the government are providing. I didn't really simplify that, people that you don't have to be like master's degree graduate before you can understand, or you have to be into the government to be able to understand those information. It should be kind of information that an ordinary person could read and could easily understand. And that is one. And the second part is just that. How scattered is the information? Is this the same thing, information that you get on this same platform is the same thing you get on another platform? And where is the specific location where you get those informations? So those are the questions that need to be answered, and I believe all these things should be well arranged when it comes to like providing information. And the level of accessibility we have to information in Nigeria is not enough, like I've mentioned. Most of these informations are not being updated, are outdated. And who are those people working in this platform to engage all these things? And those are the questions we need to know. Information online, when it's come to transparency and accountabilities, in fact, the states are really doing well in that space compared to other states. Some states, when it's come to having access to their level of procurement and all of that, is so scanty and scattered. The states are even doing well in that aspect compared to other states. So I believe having access to all this information should be out there for everybody. If we are not hiding anything, the government should be more transparent. Let everybody go there and confirm. So it's not like we get to a particular things, what we see. At times, what you even see on this platform, when you go to the reach stage, you'll not be able to track it, look at the budgets and everything. Is this what they say they do? So that, and where will you demand that accountability when you understand that the little information that they provided is not even enough, or we are not getting what we are supposed to get from that information? So I believe we can do better in Nigeria in ensuring that these things are more accessible, are more visible for people to be able to get involved.
Thank you very much. We have a question on our Facebook here. I'd like you to speak to that very quickly. This is from Femioni. Says, how can youth advocate for transparency and accountability when 70% of youths are partisans?
That is one of the problem. That is one of the problem. 70% of youth are not partisans. 70% no.
All right.
It's just that few of those that are really influentials have been,
I become partisan.
have become partisans. And those that are, those are the people that are really vibrant. When they are partisans, the many are just, you just feel like there is nobody there again. So, the issue is we can't continue to like when people are being influential and the next thing is we bring them into the government. Why? It's because I've mentioned there is no structure. System exclusion is just the issue. What if we have a platform that people who tend to influence, who tend to talk about issues and all of that, have a where this solution are being provided? The reason why people come to critique the government and all of these things on social media space is because they want the rich changes, right? But the situation in our economic and all of that, before you know it, they'll be taken off and they put them on salary and nobody is saying anything again. And those are the issues. It's not like they are not youth. It's not like they are many, more than people. They are not many. It's just the few of them that.
But they have influence.
Yes, because they have influence. So what I will always encourage the youth is, it's not just about, there's so many ways we can ask for accountability from the government. It's not just only by being a social media influence. There are so many ways. In Europe, they can create petition. There is always a petition. There's always a youth forum where they are going to bring stakeholders on board, asking them questions. So those are different ways we can engage the government in being constructive without being critical so much about it. So that's just what I would say. It's not that there are many, but I think those people too, when you are being taken off, maybe you are being part of the government now, you don't have to get to the government and now be quiet. We have known you to be vibrant. Why don't you continue in that way? Not like you are now singing about, no, now it shouldn't be done like that. We should also look at why are we there, and because of what you are doing, that's why they brought you to the stage. And the next thing is you are not quiet. So we need to look at, we even need to speak about those people that does that. We even need to start asking them and being accountable too once you are partisan. So that's what I'm saying.
Well, there's no place in Nigeria constitution that says, a youth advocate cannot be a partisan person, cannot be a politician.
Exactly.
But I think, just like you said, the focus should be, the moment you are now brought into that space, did they bring you there to silence your voice, to silence the impact you are driving in the first place? Or should it be a platform for you, a stepping stone for you to even talk more, because you're closer to government now, to persons in authority, not closer to government. The fact that you're in office does not mean you're closer to government. Yeah. But because you're closer to persons in authority, you should be able to drive home the demands of young people for better government for the people. Interesting. I will have run through social media now to quote some youth leaders that we have in Ekiti. And you'll be surprised at certain things that they are saying, especially when it comes to constructive engagement with persons in government or with their suppose. That's what we're going to say. Because on a normal day, these young persons were known voices before they got into government. Exactly. But now, the same thing that they were standing for, they are going against other people. I mean, the space that they were before they got recognized, before they got caught up to government, they are now speaking against those people in those spaces. Right? And I feel it's one of the big challenges that we have. But that is not my focus this afternoon. We're looking at how young people can really be true agents, to drive transparency and accountability in governance. There's so much that we have to go this afternoon. But as Ekiti prepares for 2026 governorship election, why should accountability matter than ever before to young people, particularly those concerned about the future of Ekiti State and the development that is within it?
Accountability, when it comes to accountability, I think accountability matters a lot in terms of looking at the aspect of every sector, the quality of life, because education to health, demanding accountability make changes in those areas. And if you keep quiet without being asking for the government how the money is being spent and what they're spending on and all these things, it will affect the quality of life that we are living as a person. So when we are going for elections and all of that, we should ensure that we should know that we are not just going there because we just want to make one decision and make. We are making our future decisions. So we should be very careful when we are making a decision. So and accountability, like I've mentioned, is the one of the key engines that build a solid society. So when we demand for accountability, it makes the government or people in governance to understand what they are doing right and what they need to do better. So and demanding accountability shouldn't be like a crime or like a something. Maybe you've done something bad or against the government. You are just trying to shape what you feel like should be understand by the government, because most time too the government might not even see what we are saying. Maybe they are not in the local communities, but when we talk about these things, about issues that are going in our local government communities, it make them understand those issues too as well from their side. So that's just why accountability is really important.
Let's look at the spaces, the sectors where people need to demand accountability, where young people need to be true agents of accountability. Um, Again, we're not going against, or we're not going head to head, toe to toe with government of Ekiti State, right?
Yeah.
We are advocating for positive change, and we are not antagonists. We are just agents of positive change, right? But let's look at some sectors or sectors of government where youth need to put their voices in a time like this.
When you look at different sectors in Nigeria, is it from the health? Is it from the education? Is it from every aspect of the of every sector, every ministry? We demand accountability. There are some. I work in mostly in the education sectors, and there are various schools that we track on the field, and according to the budget and the procurement side, it will say this is so amount spent and this thing has been completed. And before you get to the feed, you'll be surprised that these things have never been done, and it will be written that it has been done completed. So demanding accountability is also inform the government. Sometimes the government might not even be aware of those things, and by the time the youth do their research, bring those things on board, the government tends to understand. Now some things too, I don't know, maybe the government can also be part of all these things, we cannot say, but at least demanding accountability ensure more transparencies, and it bring people on board to understand the issues that are going on in the communities.
I'd like you to speak to your own constituency. I know that you're a fiscal transparency champion,
Yeah.
right there in Ekiti State, under the project, the Better Government project, right?
Yeah.
In your own community, Ilawe, right? What is going on right there? What have you observed? If this is a platform for you to demand accountability, what is your feedback? What have you observed in your own constituency, and what can we do better?
Um, I'm in Ekiti Central, which is we have Ado, we have Ijero, Repodo, and all of that. And most of these things that we really observe is there are some of these projects that we tracked, and we get to understand that some of them are not completed, some have been abandoned projects, and when you go to the website, spending millions of naira on those projects, and they will say completed. And most of these things, when we get to understand that these things are not even complete, is it those projects that we track and we just realize that those projects have been given to, or is being headed by the permanent secretary that you cannot track. So those are the gaps that are in these systems that we are looking into, and looking at those constituencies too. When it's come to the health issues, there is a lot of issues, a lot of abandoned projects that we've tracked. And when it comes to the education sectors as well, there's some of abandoned schools that have also been tracked in this Ekiti, of which they've written completed. There was a time I even met maybe I shouldn't bring this conversation on board, where I met
I want to. That's what I want to hear. Oh. That's what I want to hear.
yeah, where I met
In fact, because this one I say they are project. Give us data.
that was it.
Give us name.
Recently I met with the Commissioner for Education, and we talk about how we can improve digital skills among students in Ekiti State. And we discussed so many things about global dialogues and how students can also get involved in making decisions about post 2030 education agenda. And we go to one aspect of which is my hometown in Lawa Ekiti. And I told them that in 2023, there were schools that we went to that do not have computer-based systems. But the commissioner said there is no school that doesn't have computer-based system, that at least in Ekiti State, 25 of those schools have been equipped with digital
systems, facilities.
Facilities and infrastructure, even to the extent of solar systems, to the extent of giving them data subscription every month, which is a very interesting thing. But me, I've been to the field. I understand that most of these things, when you get there, in particularly, I did my research on why those things have been abandoned. That is the topic of my research in my master's degree level in the UK. And what I get to understand that, yes, even when you say you have those things, what is the cost of the maintenance? Who are those in charge monitoring those things? And what are they using? Are they really using it? Who are the teachers being trained to use these things? Those are the questions that we ask. By the time you just see, they have it truly, but everything has been abandoned. Why? Because nobody is using it. No trained teacher, nothing like teacher development. I've never seen one, if so, in Nigeria, where there is teacher development or teacher training, professional training for teachers. Which are the big gaps in education systems in Nigeria compared to other countries that every 3 months, 6 months, they train their teachers and all of that. And when it's come to all these schools, when there's issues, we have a lot of, during the rainy season, most of the schools collapse, and who are putting them into account, in account that, these schools, we don't have these things, our infrastructure is broken and all of that. Nobody demand for that. Nobody is going to give you that information unless you go to the field and see. So I speak about these things in Lawe and I mentioned those names of these schools, and immediately she took action on it, which is very, very interesting to me, and we are able to solve those problems. And those are the things that I'm really interested to hear in my constituency, ensuring that everything is going quite well in my community.
Thank you very much, Blessing, for that once again. But let's come to the issue of social media right here. Social media has become a major political space for young people. And perhaps from your observation locally and internationally, you can tell us how these platforms can be used responsibly to promote issue-based engagement instead of misinformation and political hostility.
I think social media has been quite fancy to misinformation, and why we also have some of this artificial intelligence that comes in to verify some things, even though some of the times too they might be wrong. But what I would just say is that people need to understand more about how to fast check every information, not just bringing information on board and just share directly to people without understanding the effects of that information is going to do. So we all need to have a way of verifying information, especially if wrong information do spread faster than the correct information. And also we also need to use this social media positively. We can sensitize people through social media. We can train people using social media. We can make a lot of changes if using our social media spaces. So it depends on, the question is, how do you use your social media spaces, which I feel like it's still boiled down to individual, what kind of information they share on social media. Are they just looking for engagement or likes, or you want to make an impact to your community? So we should look more of ensuring that social media spaces are used positively rather than spreading rumor or negative information.
Thank you very much once again for that. These days, people there's this thing they call social media war, Twitter war.
Yes.
Supporters fighting supporters.
You see people that are tilting those things, you realize that they don't even want to provide pictures. They're just there to scatter everything. So we should be very careful about those information that we take from the social media spaces.
All right, let's go on this very quick break. When we'll come back, the show will resume. We won't go for too far. Just stay with us.
The Inspiration Care and Development Center presents Better Government on Radio. The youth desire a show that encourages respectful dialogue. Want to be part of creating positive change? Welcome to Better Government on Radio, the show where we explore ways to improve a community and make government work better for everyone. Join us as we consider innovative solutions and discuss fresh ideas. Our goal is to improve, inform, and empower you to be an active participant in shaping a better future for all. No politics, no blames, just constructive conversations and collective problem solving. Join the movement. Tune into Better Government on Radio on Midas Radio 90.5 FM every Wednesday from 2 to 3 in the afternoon and be part of building a brighter tomorrow. This program is brought to you by Inspiration Care and Development Center, ICDC, with support from Nigerian Youth Futures Fund, NYFF. Better Government on Radio. Build the Nigeria we want.
You're welcome back on Better Government Radio Talk Show this afternoon, coming to you from Midas Radio 90.5 FM at Doikiti. And we are talking about how to ensure that youths are active agent in promoting transparency and accountability in governance. The issue of accountability cannot be overemphasized. We must continue to mention, because it is only through accountability that people can demand the right things from persons in authority, or even bring to attention of person in authority what is being done, what is not being done, and how they want change to be effected. And through transparency, government is able to interact with people, helping people to know what they are doing for them and how they can be truly, truly engaged. If there's nothing you're hiding, why then shouldn't you be transparent for real? My guest this afternoon is a youth development advocate and, of course, a Chevening alumnus, someone who has a solution for Nigeria and is making that solution come to pass through his platform, where he advocates for digital youth literacy and innovations right here in the States and across Nigeria. I'm talking about Blessing Dada, who is my guest this afternoon on this program, brought to you by Inspiration Care and Development Center and with support from Nigeria Youth Futures Fund. Blessing Tunde Dada is an education development practitioner, a social innovator, and youth advocate working at the intersection of governance, digital inclusion, and community development. He is the founder of Slum and Rural Aid for African Child Development Initiative, Saraf Fakdi, and co-founder of Genex TED, where he leads an initiative that expands access to education, digital skills, and livelihood opportunities for underserved communities across Nigeria. Thank you for joining us once again. Blessing.
Thank you so much.
We have to run, because we are really pressed for time. I'm going to asking you one or two things. Based on your exposure as a Chevening scholar, what lessons can Ekiti youths learn from learn about civic participation, leadership culture, and constructive engagement with government?
All right. Thank you so much. I think our youth needs to, when it comes to demanding accountability, we need to be more constructive when we are engaging the government. And also we need to also get involved, not just coming out one time. We need to be very consistent in our involvement in the government. And when it's come to demanding accountability, we shouldn't be scared to demand accountability from the government, because it's our right to demand accountability. It's our duty to understand what is going on in a local environment. And we must ensure that we are part of the system, not just a segregate or one-time participant in the governance. So be there, be disruptive, be consistent, and ensure that you are part of everything from the grassroots to the high-level ranking. Thank you.
I think with that, we'll be drawing the curtain on the show this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us on Better Government Radio Talk Show. Blessing, Dada.
Thank you so much for having me.
And many thanks to our sponsor, the Nigeria Youth Futures Fund, and the facilitator of this program, Inspiration Care and Development Center. It is important that youths must be aware that information must get to them. Beyond information getting to you, you must be consistent in engaging government, not for your personal goals, but because you want change to come to your community. We'll be back on Better Government Radio Talk Show next week as we explore some other components as we prepare for 2026 governorship election in Ekiti State and, of course, prepare for better development for our communities. My name is Oluwasegun Adeleke. I'm asking you to enjoy your day. Bye for now.